How's it going? I'm professional shooting coach Colin Castella, and I'm here today with Noah Basketball to give you 3 secret keys to hit more shots. All right, so what a lot of people don't realize is shooting arc is the most important key when it comes to making shots. And the guys over at Noah have done tons of data and tons of analytics study and have really proven that to be true. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about 3 different measurements that you want to start thinking about on your jump shot or on your player's jump shot. They're going to help you hit more shots. Now, before we jump into it, we got 2 things I want you to do. Number 1, the top link in the description down below, I'm going to give you free access to our Noah Arc Academy. And basically what this is it's my 5 top tips how to increase players shooting arc. If you can do that, it's really quick. You can plug them right in and you're going to see big results right away. The second thing you're going to do is the link underneath that. Visit noahbasketball.com, especially if you're a coach or your parent and you're trying to get that competitive advantage against other players and other teams that might be in your conference, because the Noah system is unbelievably powerful and you're definitely going to want to check it out. All right, so the first secret key that we want to pay attention to when it comes to shooting is depth, meaning how far into the basket the basketball actually ends up going in. So what we can do is if we look at the rim is 18 inches from the front to the back. And no matter where we're shooting, it's always going to be 18 inches from the front to the back. Now, what the guys over at Noah and their analytics have found is that if the ball enters the rim at 11 inches deep, it's going to have the highest probability of going in every single time. Now, this is a little bit different because you might think that at 18 inches, right, 9 would be exactly in the middle, so you maybe think that 9 inches would be where the ball wanted to go through the hoop for a perfect shot. But that's actually not true. If we can get to that 11-inch depth, it's going to be a little deeper and it's almost going to kind of suck down into the basket. So as a coach or as a player, you can watch your jump shots and try to figure out where your misses are going, whether they're short, whether they're middle, whether they're long. And if you can get that what they call back rim and down over at Noah, where it's kind of hitting the back rim a little bit and then sucking back into the hoop, that's actually the best shot you can have and the highest probability of going in. So we got to kind of retrain our brain a little bit. Swishes aren't actually the best shot in basketball. That back rim and down is what we really want to end up seeing. All right, so the next secret key we want to think about is shooting arc. And like I mentioned before, it's probably the most important thing when it comes to shooting the basketball. And the data and the analytics from Noah back it up 100%. So, but what a lot of people don't realize is where the optimal arc is at. Now, through all the research and study that the Noah guys have done, they've found out that the perfect arc is going to be at about 45 to 47 degrees, somewhere in there. If you can get your shot at 45 to 47 degrees, you have a much higher probability of the ball going in, and it's going to stay more consistent. Now, the reason why this is important is anytime we start going lower than that, or anytime we start going higher than that, our probability of making the shot starts to go down dramatically. So a lot of times we'll hear things like, a higher shot's always going to be a better shot when it comes to arc, but that's not necessarily true. We want to be in that sweet spot of that 45 to 47, and if at all possible, we want to try to hit that on every single shot. Well, you'll notice with a lot of inconsistent shooters is that their arc goes all over the place. It might be too low, it might be too high, they might get a couple in the middle, and because of that, if you're not a consistent shooter, you're probably not going to be a great shooter. So with arc, we always want to think about where that 45 degree angle's at, and if you can hit that, it's going to make a huge difference. Now, this is why the Noah system is absolutely phenomenal, because it actually has a sensor that reads every shot that your player takes and then gives them a verbal feedback. So it'll say 45 degrees, 46 degrees, whatever it is, so they can start training their muscle memory as time goes on, and it's really, really easy to kind of figure out how far off you are and how inconsistent. So shooting arc is definitely really, really important, and we want to make sure that we try to hit that 45 to 47 degree angle. All right, so the next thing we want to pay attention to when it comes to being a consistent shooter is what we call left-right deviation, meaning from the center of the hoop, how far the ball is entering from the left or to the right. Now, if the ball goes too far to the right or to the left, it's going to be a miss, right? But what we can actually do, especially with something like the Noah system, is we can see where the ball's entering the basket. We can start to kind of get an overall picture of where a shooter shoots. Now, it's super interesting because if you're a coach and you start tracking your player's shots, what you end up finding most of the time is that a lot of shooters, will have like a cluster, like maybe they'll always miss 3 inches to the right, or even if they make it, it's still entering the basket on the right side. And this is super important because once we have this data, we can start to kind of figure out, exactly what improvements need to be made. If a shooter's always missing to the right, there's probably something making it happen. If a shooter's missing all the way to the left, there's probably something making it happening. So what we can do is then we can tweak form and we can find out exactly why we're missing that way, and that way we can kind of work through it backwards design. But what a lot of people don't realize is they just assume that a miss is a miss, right? They think, oh, a miss is the same as any other miss, but really we want to kind of use them as clues, and especially with our left-right deviation, to figure out what's the story and how can we solve the problem. So, you can do this by eye, but it's a little bit harder, as you're trying to track and see exactly where the ball's going. But that's one thing that I love about the NOAA system is it actually gives you that specific data, so you can see, a cluster, a heat map on the rim, and you can see exactly where a shooter's shooting, exactly where a shooter's making, and exactly where a shooter is missing. All right, if you're new to the NOAA basketball channel, don't forget, number one, you're going to want to click the top link down below, get free access to my ARC Academy. We're going to get your ARC dialed in and hopefully have you hitting more shots. And number two, you're going to want to click the link below that and check out NOAAbasketball.com. They're changing the game the way kind of we look at analytics and the basketball side of shooting. And if you get a NOAA system, I guarantee it's going to make your team or your players shoot better. So if you're a coach or a parent, you really want to check that out. It's absolutely game changing, and I highly recommend it. And if you're new, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and then head to the comments down below and let me know what sort of videos you want to see next. We're going to make a lot of cool content for NOAA, and so we want to make it depending on what you guys want to see. So leave a comment down below, and hopefully we'll get to it. Again, I'm Coach Collin Castella, and welcome to the NOAA Basketball Channel. We'll see you next time.